For those of you who, like myself, are interested in Assassin's Creed Syndicate and have hope that it won't suck given that they've wanted this setting for ages, I have some more information thanks to a recent interview with Examiner.com, who spoke to the game director Scott Phillips and spoke about a variety of things with them. I'm not going to talk about it all here, of course. I will link the source interview in the description below this video, but I want to discuss a couple of points that I found interesting. Now, of course, we have known for quite some time that you will be able to play as either Jacob or Evie Fry in the game, and apparently, according to Scott Phillips, as you begin to play through the game, you'll see that there are missions that have been crafted for Jacob and ones that have been crafted for Evie. As of course they have said previously, that each of them has their different styles. And he went on to say, quote, "You have missions that are specific for Jacob and missions that are specific for Evie. When we set out in the story, they each have their own tracks that they want to take and follow in order to bring down the Templars in the city." Now apparently you also be able to switch between the two interchangeably in a kind of GTA style mechanic-ish. However, he did go on to say that you will need to go through a menu in order to switch through the characters, but it sounds like a fairly painless process. And he said, quote, "You go to the pause menu and you switch very quickly. You can get into a changing based on what is the scenario is presented, or if you want to play as one or the other." The next thing that he discussed that I want to touch on is, of course, the introduction of vehicles. We have, of course, had horses being present in the game and, of course, being usable with one of Ezio's titles, but this is, of course, the first real vehicle we've seen in Assassin's Creed, and the first time it's really being integrated into the game as a core mechanic rather than just a method of transportation. You, of course, can use them as hiding spots, use them to leap across wider streets and things like that. And he went on to say, quote, "That brought a whole new complexity to the environment with the horses, people driving vehicles, deciding when to get on and off. So that's been a huge endeavour for us. There have been a lot of big improvements we've made to the core AI. And apparently you'll also be given the ability to drive carriages as soon as you get into London." And he finished up by saying, quote, "There are 5 or 6 different types of carriages themselves. They're the core carriages. Obviously the horses are varied throughout, so you see variety there. We're also going to have an upgrade where players can get their allies to come to them with a customised carriage that you can take around the city." Now he did talk a little bit as well about the new rope launcher, which of course help you cover longer distances and of course help you climb higher faster, but of course there will be limits to the length. And he said, quote, "It does have an upper limit, but I think you can go up to the top of Big Ben with 2 rope launches. It does have an upper limit, but it's very, very high." And apparently the introduction of trains into this particular series is going to be interesting and add a whole new gameplay opportunities, a whole host of them if you will, with train looting. And he said, quote, "There are also side activities where you can hijack cargo from trains and do train robberies, so they are really integrated into the open world as well as the missions." Now unfortunately the trains are not drivable, but they can be unhinged when you're trying to loot it, so you can take one off the rails but you can't get behind the controls of a train yourself. So some rather interesting comments there. I quite like the idea that you can switch between Jacob and Evie interchangeably, and that of course you have a good mix of missions that are designed for Jacob and of course designed for Evie as well. I mean, you probably can play each of the missions that are designed for the other character with the other character, if that makes any sense, but it's obviously going to be easier to use the character they've been designed for, and of course will help mix up the gameplay and make sure that you don't get too stale with one character, and of course all these new mechanics are going to be very interesting. Now I'm cautiously hopeful for this. I really, really want this to be good and not another repeat of Unity, because this is a setting I've wanted for Assassin's Creed since, well, basically ever, and I really, really hope that Ubisoft doesn't Ubisoft it, basically. Anyway, that is me done for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.